And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Unslaved. Very happy to be here with you once again. Today we have a special first-time guest here on the show. We're very excited to talk with him. His name's Kurt, and his last name is Olin, which is a very interesting name. Very happy to have him here. So, Kurt, welcome to Unslaved, man. We're so glad we finally got this worked out, and you're here.
It's nice to meet you guys, Michael. Yeah, it's an honor. So, yep. So,
well, mutual. And it looks very exciting. You have a book coming out, The Patriot's Rebirth. This will just be an introduction to you and your work, because the book is not yet out, but it looks so fascinating. The information you've been sending me immediately caught my eye, especially anything to do with the War of 1812. Yeah, but I mean, the whole thing that you're talking about. But before we dive into that, in the American context, was there a general or industrialist or some sort of politician who was named Olin? I mean, that name stands out to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if there was a general Olin. My name, somebody did do a genealogy book on her name, and as far as I know, it went back to they believe it was King Olaf, one of the kings, and then they changed their name to Olin when they came to America. Oh. I do know they fought in the Revolutionary War, but I don't know if, and it could have been a maiden name. I'm not sure. I know that Burns was my grandmother's side, but she was, I don't know the specifics if there was an actual general or anything in there. I mean, but my character is kind of, William, he's a fictional character, more based off of, I'm not sure if I always keep an open mind. I don't totally believe in reincarnation. I do partially. I keep an open mind to it, but for this character, I felt a strong connection to that time period, it could be genetic memory. That it could be that, but for some reason, and my dad said, we've been here since before the 1600s. So we have a lot of honor in this country, and, we'd like to keep it that way. So,
undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Olaf the First of Norway plays a role in my life. My family fought for him way back when they were Christianized.
Oh, really?
Not a particularly distinguished career, I might say. But
no. Yeah. That part. Yeah. Was there two Olafs? I'm not sure, because I don't know if the one was I know one was brought in Christianity, but again, I'm not, and I'm open-minded to Christians. I'm not, against them, but for me, I don't, it's more that, it's more, I don't like fanatical institutions. And for me, I just keep an open mind. I look at all religions and I, pick a piece of it and make my own decision. That's
so. Me and David, David and I have gone through the same thing. I think if it came to a fight, we would accept Christianity as a cultural phenomena, given that our brothers and sisters in the Western world have chosen that as a dominant religion, without us actually being dyed-in-the-flesh Christians in a religious or theological sense, but as a cultural movement accepted by our fellow whites. Mm-hmm. One can see a reason to fall in line on the cultural level there and fight for some of those principles, or just fight alongside in a neutral kind of way. So it's a very complex question. Of course, in the early days, it was do or die, wasn't it? They were kind of brutal, But let's get into the book a little bit. Before we get into the content, where did the spark in your life say, was it errors in other people's work, or was it just some drive in you to say, right, I'm putting the record straight, it's going to be my vocational move to write something? Where did that start for you?
Yeah, well, it started very young with me. Since I was a kid. I have a family. I grew up in a very open-minded family. They were, I would say, I don't know if they call themselves pagans, but and we were a little bit of the New Age, but we didn't. Even my mother was a little leery of certain things that she didn't get with there's certain brainwashing in that too, that religion. So. But I guess I was brought up kind of like Norse, that kind of thing. And again, like I said, I don't believe in any one religion. I just take pieces of it and make my own decision. But yeah, what I think what really started it was when I was a teenager, and ironically, not just this is just started it, but I was very angry about the cannabis thing. I was very angry that the government was telling me that I couldn't use something that I figured that, the Constitution allowed me to, freedom of, pursuit of happiness. So that's how I just didn't see how anybody could tell you to put you in a body, especially something that grows natural from the earth, So that's kind of what started that I got the real anger from that really made me angry. And I fought for that, I voted, but then, but I was always like, I never really liked the Republican and Democrat thing. I always thought it was just ridiculous. I'd hear my uncles, this and that. And it was just hypocritical, so it was like, the Republicans, I share like both things. Like Republicans, it's good with guns. I like that, the right to keep guns. But then, Democrats or liberals or at least the classic liberal, I'll say it's, for me, there's the classic liberal I don't have really a problem with. It's this neo-liberal, thing that they even like gone way away from their own values. So, I mean,
Yes.
So yeah, in that sense, yeah. And it just, I was a strange kid. I mean, I had a lot of paranormal things that happened to me. And people were kind of, were a little scared of me a little bit because I'd say weird things, and then, and then some things would land up coming true, or my dreams would, or whatever, so,
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's just, yeah, for me, I've always known something is wrong. I just keep on digging and digging. And that's why I just want to keep on digging, for the truth. So, yeah. So
Yeah.
That's pretty
And then
much
the
the
book,
nutshell.
when did you think of writing that?
Oh yes. So that was about 10 years ago. I thought that, and I had notes. I had the introduction written down, and yeah, it was real. I mean, yeah, you'd have to read it, but I have a lot of respect for William Wallace, the Highlander.
I'm with you on that.
So yeah, and even when I was a kid, when I saw Braveheart and what they did to him, it just, they ripped him and gutted him and, castrated him, all that.
Undrawn and quartered. Yeah.
And he was still, I mean, I think that at least in the movie, freedom, it's like, and I hope I can be that strong, because, that's, if they ever torture me, I hope I can have that courage, because, I just feel I just get so sick of good people getting, hurt, really badly hurt. And then these guys just get away with it. And I think that's why I wrote the book, because he's whooping ass, man. He's getting back, all those hundreds of years of just shit that they've done to this country. He's angry, and he's getting revenge,
Mm-hmm.
So
Good. Yeah, it's a legitimate.
but in a controlled. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah. But people say, what do you want to remove from the world? They ask these celebrities, and all of them go, hatred, vengeance. Never mention ignorance.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, exactly. What the hell would the world be without hatred for injustice? By the way, a little anecdote. I don't know if you know about William Wallace himself. During the years in which he was exiled by the King of Scotland, he went slightly south of the border of Scotland into the Nottingham area, and the legend of Robin Hood actually pertains directly, historically, It's now been discovered, to William Wallace. Yeah. William Wallace and his outlaw buddies were the ones who were hiding out temporarily in that area and gave rise. It's mixed with other phenomena, including some Celtic
I did not know
green
that.
men. Yeah, but the historical aspect is very interesting.
Wow,
so let's go then to the heart of the matter, if we may. What do you think? Because the book starts beautifully chronologically. I saw the intros and the introduction, the table of contents. All right, then, given that fact, where is it that the American experiment, so to speak, went wrong for you? Everybody we asked would say, well, it was this, or it was the Roosevelt, or it was Woodward Wilson. Where do you start where things started to get a little dodgy? Where would you start with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer that. Yeah. Where I was surprised when I was looking back at the forefathers and how it was formed. Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson and I knew there was arguments between the two of them. I knew before about the federal and the state rights and all that, but I didn't know it was so. It went how much of a bastard Alexander Hamilton, let's just say what he is. I don't know if anybody knows, but if you read the arguments between Thomas Jefferson and him and some of the letters that he wrote to George Washington, he was basically, he was pushing the central bank. He talked about, he didn't want a president. He wanted another, like a mono king. He actually didn't want the common people to vote or anything. He wanted the Congress to decide everything. And, and so it got my suspicions up, and I was like, we know how, I'll just call them the bankers here. Let's just say that because of legal purposes. They're usually always involved with, wars or funding things. So anyways, yeah, I started looking into it more. And again, this book is fictional of how, the character, what I did was I used a historical duel with Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton. And he was actually killed in a duel with him. And he shot him in the gut, and, he died a pretty painful death. So, but the problem is it happened too late. He kind of like, toxified people. He poisoned people's mind, especially George Washington. Although I was going to ask you too about that, because about George Washington, because I wasn't sure. I mean, I like to think he's a good guy. I would hope so, but there is some questions I have about George Washington. He did go along with Alexander Hamilton for the central bank. And then they had a 20-year charter for that bank. So. And then, Thomas Jefferson was like just really angry about it. Like he was telling Washington, like, no, we can't have that. We can't have a central bank, and all this. And then I don't know if it was because Washington was just so worn down by, the war and everything and the arguments and everything, and that he was like, oh, okay, I got to come halfway here or something like that. But it's a little suspicious. I also found that the Freemasons, at least in my research, they were infiltrated by the Illuminati, but only at the 33rd degree. And supposedly that not all Masons were bad before the infiltration. But I would ask you more on your critiques, on that. Anyway, so what happened? So, and around, I think it was 1811 or 1812, the charter was up for renewal. And the Congress at the time, and I think because of Thomas Jefferson's influence, he said, no way, we're not renewing it again, and then the certain banking family that you talk about a lot here, they had a real shit fit, like a real baby fit about it, because that was their ticket just to mess up America, to get into our, put a central bank in. So they had a big fit about it. And then that's actually, this banker, he actually had a heart attack that year after he found out that he did, that the banking, charter wasn't going to be renewed. And then that's when the war, and I believe that's why the War of 1812 really started, because they did not renew the charter. So,
yeah,
and then I think,
feeling as well.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep. So
it might have been territory as well, but the assault had been through Judah Benjamin and through Auguste Belmont. And whenever you're talking about even these individual characters, there's legitimate questions about that. Like, what did Washington think? What did Madison do? What did Aaron Burr do? I'm getting a really bad echo, by the way. But remember, it's them and their gang. It's the Aaron Burr gang. It's the Hamilton gang. So one president like Washington is not just answering an individual in that sense. I'm sure you agree. It's their gang and how powerful and rich that gang is, and you want to appease them. And I've given my explanation in articles. I'll put links below. But My general feeling is that the assault was on multiple sides, and that even the Rothschilds and people like that were really servants of the British Crown. Maybe not obviously so, and in fact, many of them were
Yeah, it wasn't
agents
just,
of
yeah, I
Rome.
agree. It's not just
Yeah,
one exact group. Yeah,
no. And
it's
have you
such a
seen this?
huge network. Oh, who
It's of
killed?
course this would be
Yes, yes,
this
yes.
would be
I actually,
scrolling forward.
I
This would be
if I
scrolling
believe
forward.
that's what I wrote that in my book. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
I have Booth. Well, Booth, yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, for in my book, he's an agent for the bankers, and
That's
he's because he didn't want the slavery being, he didn't want that, because they were making a lot of money off that, and they didn't want that to go away. So, Abraham Lincoln was a problem. So, Booth,
Yeah, and it's a
my
mixed.
understanding. So,
Yeah, and it depends who's writing the book. You have people in the South, even part of the conspiracy movement, who tell you the opposite. So that one for me has been a lifelong unfolding, but so is the stuff with Hamilton. It's a lifelong. You're waiting for, you get Stanton Evans, you've got De Lorenzo, you've got some really good authors. Everybody chiming in. Yeah, the list of authors is endless. That's why I liked your work, because I saw you as a follow-on, in that tradition of people who have gone for the long haul. People who don't want easy answers. People who say, well, I know that this group well-meaningly says this. I know another group says that. But I'm going to plow through that material, like yourself, and continue to re-ask the question. We had this on a previous podcast about
you can't
coming back to questions and asking them again and looking sidewards. So it's a very fascinating subject. But after you don't have few people even mention Aaron Burr. I mean, in the whole conversation or narrative about what you're talking about.
And no movies about it. I mean, there's not even a lot of movies about the Revolutionary War. And that's disgusting. And that music, the Alexander Hamilton musical. I mean, of course they would pick him to idolize as the best. Yeah, because they love the federal, the system and everything. So the system would eat that up. And I was just so disgusted.
Maybe take us up to the prelude then of the 1812 war. It's one that most people don't even know existed. They're so focused on the War of Independence or even the Civil War. Sketch in the origin of that and how you think it got initiated, please, Kurt, if you will.
Yeah. Well, what I would say, I mean, for my understanding, it would definitely be the charter for me that caused the conflict, the war. It seems like every time they lose a central bank or don't go their way, they usually have a war after. I'm trying to think. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah, there was, like I said, there was a lot of arguments, like I said, between Thomas Jefferson and Hamilton and other individuals. So it was just mainly about, state rights and federal and, I don't, past that, I'm not really, the Illuminati, I mean, that was one of them too. I mean, Illuminati infiltrating it. And actually, I don't know if, I asked you that, but is that true that they only infiltrated the 33rd degree, and the rest of it, the other members didn't know? Was the Masons all bad? I forget if you told me that or not.
Well, that's a whole conversation. My sketch of it is this, and I did it in a recent article, and I think we even followed up with a podcast on it. And that is that it's not just the Illuminati, as we would use that word. And I do agree that they infiltrated at the Scottish Rite degree and the Knights Templar degree. So high degree, as you say. Then you have the influence of Grand Orient Freemasons from Europe. Some people think they're identical to the Illuminati. And, in many cases, it's quite right to just use Illuminati for even that group. But that group, the Grand Orient Freemasons, were mostly Catholics. And whereas the Illuminati tend to be that progressive group who wanted to break from all religion, and that's a small little group. Grand Orient Freemasonry is the worldwide, much larger group of which the Illuminati is but one small branch. That's the way I kind of look at it. And they have major influences, and they were already involved in the destruction of the North by their money, power, influence in the South. That's not to indict all Southern people or any slave owners or any of that nonsense. Right? No, this is just a very surreptitious and devilish infiltration. Because remember, the one thing we would always stress is this. Any group that the Illuminati or Grand Orient or Knights of Malta, say, for instance, who are very powerful now in America, any group that they infiltrate is already harmed before you get to the enemy. So the southern states are not ingratiated any more than Africa or Ireland, right? Just because you got these people funding your ass. They're a pestilence and a danger and a bacteria in the blood, even of the people that provide their front, so to
yes,
speak.
okay. Yeah.
Rather than, we represent all Southerners, This is terrible.
Well,
Southerners need to wake up to this.
Yeah. And it is a problem with, it is a problem with the common people too. I mean, they're the ones that, the people too. I mean, they make a lot of, they tell the government to make certain laws in certain cases. So, I mean, that's why it's so important to educate the public on their right, so they don't go down that way. And that's what I'm afraid of. I don't want, that's why I wrote this book too, is because I don't want it going down repeating the same exact thing over and over. And, we can see, they're probably going to start a war pretty soon, and we're finding out everything again. They're probably going to take all our bank accounts, our property. They'll try anyways. I mean, I don't.
They're taking our minds. What more do you want?
Yeah, well, the minds. Yeah,
look at feminism.
It's a mental war. Yeah, mental war. Yeah,
well, look at feminism. Yeah. Women buy into feminism, not realizing that's the infection in the blood. You idiots! How could you possibly fall in the tune of millions of women in the Western world? Yeah. So the secret societies, Fabian Network created feminism, and the women bought it. That's what I mean about any group. If you host a secret society or its agenda and you forward that agenda, it's damaging to you before it even gets to the so-called enemy.
Yeah.
So this is something that people have to wake up.
Responsibility. To, it's a responsibility for the general public. And I get so frustrated. I mean, that's why I'm a hermit. I went out in the middle of. I mean, I'd like to get farther out in the middle of what's. I'm still kind of near a town. I've had girls break up with me because of because I want to do the vaccine thing. I mean, it's not easy, fighting this at all. I mean, it's not you're not making a lot of money. You don't want to step over people like corporate, because the jobs that they'd have me, I couldn't do some of the stuff they'd want me to do. I know. Because I was like, this is it's just, you feel like a piece of crap, just selling stuff to people. And I mean, the only way I got around it kind of was, I guess, people that were really nasty. That would be the only ones I'd sell it to. But, I told them too, I was like, why is it always just about ripping people off? I said, why can't you just, it was Best Buy place I used to work for, and the Geek Squad or whatever. And I just can't. That's why, again, I did this too. I used to be in computers, but I don't want to help them, and I would rather write books. It's what I was supposed to do. When I was a kid, I wrote stories, I wrote these cartoons, and everybody loved them. And then for some reason I got away from that, and I guess people knocking me down. And so it got off.
It's your vocation.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, so
Jesus. Yeah. We talk a lot on here about vocation and how hard it is to not only gain, but regain some, you were a kid and you had it in your hands, like you're saying. Yeah. And then, the voices of the school and the world and whoever else, or your even friends that you stupidly start to think, or lead the way or whatever it might be, It's really, really awful. But you've touched on this extraordinary important point. Did you ever get to read that book, The Quartet?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, actually, I'll put that in my list.
I'd have to look it up. Yeah, I'd have to. It's about Hamilton.
Always open.
But there were some recent ones on Hamilton, weren't there, in the last 10 years? Did you get to read any of those that sort of show him again as being a really, a bad guy, so to speak?
I don't think so. No, I don't remember coming across that. But like I said, I'm all open for knowledge, and I'm constantly adding stuff to my book. That's what makes me crazy about it.
Sure.
It practically drove me nuts writing the book. Like I couldn't sleep, I was like, I don't want to be like one of my family members that went crazy, and I was just, but I had this weird thing. I had to get it done. The first draft at 33. I was like, if I don't get it done, it was just some stupid, and I worked myself up to get it done in 5 months, and I'm glad I did, but it just, I mean, it was just weird, information that would come to my mind, and how it would just, the words would come in and flow, and just, Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, there's a lot of. I'm not saying like I'm not like a real like new age person a little bit, but it was just a surge of electricity. I can't. My whole life, pretty much, it's been. I don't know. It's like a kundalini or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, a lot of prana.
But yeah,
if you're meant to be
yeah,
doing this work, and your wife understands you, she's helped you with the book. Yeah.
yes, yeah. She's great. Yeah, because if I didn't find her, I mean, I was thinking about being a monk for a while because I was like,
It's slim
I was
pickings
like,
out
you know,
there, man.
yeah, no, and it's so hard to find somebody that's open minded and into this stuff and wants to fight for the country. And you know, I like that in women. You know, like I like them to have like a
Awesome.
masculine person. You know, like
Yep.
you know, tough. You know, not like you know, mink like a mink or a beer. You know, whatever. Yeah. So you know, but
That's true.
yeah. So it's. You know, I think
So when is the book actually going to be out? When will the book actually be out and published?
Yes, I'm trying to aim for September 11th. I'm trying to get the launch
Oh,
date
wow.
for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So
Well done.
I'm going to be, you know, really overhauling it now. If people want to get in touch with me for now, they want signatures, you know, on their book or anything like that, they can email me at runningamokproductions@gmail.com. So they can go there, and then I'll get back to them, and then I'll have a website. And I'm working on the book cover. I was telling Dave I had a friend working on it, but we I don't know. It's been weird this week, to be honest. I've had a very strange. It's a good thing, you know. It's like you're walking through this door and you can't walk out anymore. And we'll get that.
I'm facing the same thing here. Yeah,
I
many of
bet
my
you guys
programs
do.
have been delayed. Yeah,
Well,
it hit
it's
me all this period.
you know,
I've got
but
so
I will
much stuff
try.
on the
I'll
shelf.
try. Yeah.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
technology
it should
can
be.
be.
Well, once that
Now,
book is
in
out,
the
let
book-
us know. Let us know, and we'll
Yeah.
help you
Yes.
promote
Oh,
it.
we will.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I was wondering if you guys know about like, do you guys know like editors or anything? Because I like a trustful, because I'm just a little leery about who to go to that's not a scam artist. And like I have a copyright on it, but I just don't want people. I know Michael's had his stuff stolen, and it's like the last thing I was like, I'd be really angry if somebody stole it. So I don't know. Do you guys know any
We
like,
have a
editors
few.
or?
We have a few, probably some recommendations for you. Yep.
Okay, not much. You know, I don't want like big time editing. Just it's more like stuff I just spelling stuff I forgot or
Right.
stuff like that. So I mean, but I don't really need like content edit. Like take this out or not.
No.
Like the
This will be
public-
syntax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will just be text editing. You want a
Awesome.
text editor.
Awesome.
The content
Yes.
remains intact, doesn't it? But tell
And
us
you
what
guys,
your
I
theory
really
then.
like. Yeah. Mhm.
Tell us
Go
what
ahead.
your theory is of the Civil War. What's your sketch about that particular conflict? I would look at it as a desire to destroy the progressive experiment of the North, because a certain amount of South America, southern states, didn't want to see progressive Anglo-Saxon man, Swedish man, right, do really well. They were building railroads in the North. Things were going along really, really well. And so that was my theory. But what's your theory of how that started? Even on one landmass, groups of whole states in succession. By the time Lincoln was there, 7 states had already succeeded, and the rest of them was always ready to do it. But as Lincoln pointed out, on one landmass with no natural border, how can you split a country? It's not going to happen, and I'm not going to let it happen. So anyway, what's your take on why it happened, or nearly did?
Yeah, what I saw was I'm trying to think, other than the basic, John Booth and all that being infiltrated by the bankers and all that. Geez, I know I'll probably go blank because trying to think here. Let me just. I know there's,
France.
and I know that's a cover. The slavery thing is kind of a cover. It definitely wasn't all about that. I mean, it was,
No, it wasn't.
I guess it was the economy. Yeah, I guess because the North was doing really good. I mean, I pretty much agree with what you said with that. I would
Because
probably have some.
the actual detail is that Lincoln was interested as a man in emancipation, and that's by no means unique to him, because all of the Puritan Quakers, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, Pilgrim Fathers, all had this very left of center ecumenical disposition. always your brother's keeper and all of that. So Lincoln was just one more man who had a little bit embodied, right, that idea of egalitarian teachings and philosophy. He wasn't the only man who invented it, and he certainly wasn't the first to talk about freeing slaves. I mean, William Wilberforce, the Quaker.
Right?
Back
in the Revolutionary. Actually, that brings up a good point, because that was part of the thing I always generation, because they just want to throw the whole Constitution, because they're like, all the forefathers were slave owners, but a lot of them were very well. Like I said, it's still not a good thing, but I mean, they were good to the slaves, and they wanted to free them. But I mean, right after like fighting the Revolutionary War, life and limb and going through all that hell, I mean, I don't, right then it just wasn't the right time. The South wouldn't agreed to it and all that. So I kind of cover that a little bit too, because that issue that it's not, all these forefathers, and again, I don't know why people, I mean, it's a bad thing, but, I mean, Irishmen slaves, I mean, I think they're probably one of the first ones that, everybody's been slaves. It's not a good thing, but you shouldn't like want repayment for it or have people pay, or, you know what I mean? It's just,
slavery is a universal practice. And if they kept going around with reparations, everybody would owe everybody, going all the way back.
Yeah.
And what about modern day slavery right now? Like physical slaves, human trafficking, and then also what we talk about here, which is the mental, psychological slavery.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
They don't want to talk about that, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that would be my take on that, Michael. Yeah. So.
Well, you've got two chapters that interest me. If you could speak a little bit about them. 17, the Black Deceiver, and you've got one that's equally interesting, I think, called. Well, they're all absolutely fantastic. Yeah, take it to 17, the Black Deceiver. What does that entail?
That's kind of again, I don't want to say the name again, but it's based off a certain a president. So yeah, because early on when I got into this, since I was a teenager, I was always independent, because I didn't like either one of them. So at that time, me and my brother's very psychic too, but he went a little on the far end, but a little bit, but we could just see, like we were, it was very like how we'd handle, like they should make a book called Presidents for Dummies, like Corrupt Presidents for Dummies, because I mean, you could just see the plastic wrap smile, the not talking about the Constitution. And I was like, if you're not going to talk about the Constitution or anything, I'm not voting for you. I mean, that was an easy decision for me not to vote for somebody. And I just saw him early on, and he just tried to wheel in the African Americans, and then he screwed them over, as I'm sure you guys know. I don't think he even was African American. I think he was like, Muslim. Is what they were saying. I don't think he was even, so he didn't care about them. And so, yeah, that was kind of more a deceiver to the black population, and us, to the whites too, the ones that, thought he was good and all that. And, and all the stuff he pulled, the NDAA and all that stuff.
Yes, indeed. G. Edward Griffin, it's 20 years before, had mentioned, again, similar to what I said earlier about front organizations, the greatest victim of Fabian communism is the black, because they play on his they play on his mentality. He's been led by the nose by these politicians. We trust you, we believe in you, we're going to help you, we're going to give you universal suffrage, and of course they all go for it. And it's absolutely extraordinary that that group can take all the welfare and then just sit back and just berate America.
Yeah.
So, you're berating America, and you hate America, and your leaders hate America, but 80% of the women in the black community are sitting on welfare. I mean, how do you even reconcile that? Talk about dumbasses, and then their whole voting for this liar, this Mac Daddy arrives, and they vote for him, because they're still in an infantile state that we must have a first woman prime minister in America. We have to have the first black president in America. See, all this superficial media generated bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
Right, Reagan and the whole slew.
I used to hate that. I hate it.
The slew of pseudo conservatives even Tucker Carlson, he's not a fucking conservative. Get that into your head.
Yeah,
they're pseudo conservatives. And even then,
well,
they
even
do some
that,
good
he
stuff,
has
right?
he has his, that's a good point too. It's the balance. I like to no balance. It's extremes. Like it's just hypocritical. Like I like to say, like the liberals. They'll say, oh, you can't have any guns, and then the conservatives are, they're like, oh, you can't have, any gay relationships or any of that, and you can't, you can't smoke a natural plant and all this, and they all just like they go over all their constitutional rights. And I was actually talking to a guy, because they were talking about Oregon here I live. They were trying to unite, or they were trying to get Oregon to break away and go into Idaho, and it was the merge or whatever. And I said, it's good and everything, but I said, we have like medical marijuana laws here. And I said, well, you guys going to respect that? I was talking to the conservatives. I said, you can't be hypocritical about this. If you want your guns and everything, and everybody has to respect their constitutional rights. And really, that end of the book, The New Republic, I mean, I think we should get rid of both party systems, Democrats and Republicans. I think now, again, a lot of people I think there should be electronic voting system that has a backup of a ballot. After you vote, you're also print out a ballot, and they pair that to the real, when they make sure that it's not getting, make sure there's a way that, and have like an info, because, back in the old times when they had representatives, it was because it was so far and they didn't have cars, and they had to have a representative to go to represent all the people. We have the internet now and stuff. We don't need these guys. We don't really need them anymore. And really, all the issues that shouldn't be you shouldn't be voting against someone's basic constitutional rights. Shouldn't even be on the ballot, really, to be honest. I mean,
if you have one constitutional document that's basically a contract between the people and the government, right? Then why would there be different interpretations of that? It's like when we start trying to interpret holy scriptures. It's like, no, it's a law. It's a contract that says you can't do this. End of story. Yeah. I don't care what your belief is. Like, this is
permission to do it.
Yeah. So when you have, I think it was J. Edward Griffin, Michael, who had said, you got, it's two wings, but they're attached to the same brain of the same bird, right?
Yeah.
And also, even when you said about the liberals, I mean, I can understand like maybe a masculine feminine balance in terms of principles, or you could have I can get that, but when you have basically these guys are all selected. Okay, Trump was the only phenomena that I think came in, and then you have all these banks, and the governments are in debt to these bankers that you were talking about. And no matter what side you get, whether it's Fox News or CNN or left or right, you're getting the same pile of shit, because they're playing a dichotomy against the people, and it's a big smokescreen, and people are waking up. Do you feel like people are starting to wake up to that whole scam?
Yes. Yeah. Finally in the last year, I mean, I hope it's enough, but I see a little bit, but I don't know. Like, I just, again, and that's why I hope people read the book, because it talks about avoiding the race war, because I mean, that is just, we don't want civil war. We want a revolution. We don't want a civil war. That's what the elites want. They want a civil war.
Right.
We want to be educated people, concentrate on them. And like, I really, and get rid of CPAC. That's the other thing I'm in my book too, but I would like to do that in real life, to try to campaign, because this thing that you have to have a certain amount of money to run and all these rules, that's totally unconstitutional. And that's why we get these pieces of crap. I mean, you can't have that. That's like, so that has to be, you have to get rid of that. And it has to be the common man that's able to be president or run for Congress and stuff again, not these clubs,
What about career politicians? Don't you think that's an issue? Like, the whole point was you were supposed to have a guy, like you or a neighbor or me, and someone is in office for a limited term. They don't get paid a bunch of money. There's not all this lobbying crap, and they have to live in the world they create after, right? But you got Biden, Sleepy Joe, nutbag, child sniffing Biden in there, tripping. He can't even put a sentence together to save his freaking life, man. It's amazing to watch. Someone's messing around. And you go, how do you get a guy that's been in Washington for what, 40 years as a politician, hasn't done jack shit? Then you got Kamala, who slept her way to the top. You know, back she was hanging out as a
Babylon.
Yeah, she's like buddies with Montel Williams back in the day, and moving her way through the ranks. Nobody voted for her yet. They're the freaking leaders of the country, quote unquote, and we know that they're just paid off. They're all puppets, right? Everybody knows this.
Bad apple.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what I just wanted to say, Michael. I mean, because that was what really interests me in his work was the druids, how the psychology of it, the schizophrenia, what happened, to the mind, and that was the thing. The druids, again, I might be a little rusty. I read this like 10 years ago, so I long time ago since I reviewed it. But yeah, it's something about that there used to be souls that not all of them, I'm sure, but the caretakers of this earth, and they were more balanced people, souls, and this bad apple, I don't know if it was a child they had, and they everything at once, like all the knowledge at once, and they weren't patient, and then they killed the elders, and then they perverted the temples and the energy. And I just say these people don't deserve this. They're not. We're people like us that are the original, I believe. And some have maybe a past life if that's real, but we have like we're the ones supposed to we are thrones, and we should be ruling the people, and not even ruling. I'm not going to say rule, but not egotistically like that. But we need people like us to run the country. I just don't respect them. They're just pieces of crap. It rose to the top.
Well, I think they rose to the top because the population allowed it. People vote Democrat. Okay. People suppress the John Birch Society and other great patriot groups. So, I came to America horrified by what I saw. It's the least free country on the fucking planet. Right? They were still voting on, in 1975, Texas was voting on banning rock and roll.
Yeah,
God, that works.
Yeah.
They're worrying about lyrics, right? The girl touched me too much. I can't get enough satisfaction. I can't get enough girly action. Well, we're banning you for that. You're going to have to change that. They can worry about bullshit like that. Right,
games and all games,
and fucking content of books. You wouldn't actually believe the bullshit of it, right? But the great matters, and then remember, I think you allude to in the book as well. Let's take one thing that's horrific. How did America even get involved in European affairs when the whole non-intervention pact was the main thrust of the early the early presidents, and America was into that, said, we've just got away from Holocausts in Europe. We're building America now, second generation Americans. We're done with any interference. Tell us about that. What, Roosevelt era was it, or maybe slightly before when that got busted?
Oh yeah. That whole 1913 era. I mean, that was, that whole, even previously. Oh yeah, I read about that, how they actually, interestingly enough, they're repeating history again. They're back in the early 1900s, they actually got a lot of the fake Jews, or the Zionists, or Saber and Frankenism. I think that's how David Icke puts it. I think, to be more precise, so we're talking, they're not really Jewish. They act like they are, or whatever. But they got and then the Democrat Party. They were doing very badly. Like they had hardly any money in the early 1900s. After the Civil War, they were just pretty much destroyed, and they didn't have any real many voters for them. So they had to go to like Europe, Eastern Europe, and have these lower Jewish people and other immigrants, and they brought them over so they could vote in a Democrat president. And from my understanding, Woodrow Wilson was a plant, and they got all these immigrants and that to flood into America, just like they're trying to get now, and he got in, and I think, and then he was a monster, man. And then the Federal Reserve, signing it on Christmas Eve, like everybody's having their holidays. Sneaky bastard. Yeah, I know.
Just look at the man around him.
I hate.
Look at the man in his administration.
Yeah, just disgusting. Yeah, he was just around all those. And he was all like for I'm sure he would have loved Alexander Hamilton. He was, I kind of put that in the book where he's kind of like, I mean, that's kind of a fictional quote, but it's like, oh yeah, Alexander Hamilton, he was a good guy. He was a monster. And then there's FDR. He's absolutely the gold. I mean, and people having to turn in their gold, like they line up. Well, the people are even more stupid that the fact that they did that. But they lined up like sheep and just gave him his gold. It was illegal to have gold, and my dad's grandmother's side, the Olin side, she hates art. She was a farmer, and they took a lot of people off the farms, and he screwed that up. And
the Great Dust Bowl moment.
So,
some fine movies, Grapes of Wrath,
Anger with FDR.
Some excellent films even brought that. And David, didn't you interview a guy that had the whole 9 yards on the whole of the gold scam, Roosevelt particularly? What was his name?
Oh, right, Wayne Jett.
Oh,
yeah, he's a good. Actually, you might want to get in touch with someone like that. He's one of those old timers that has some very unique knowledge about FDR and what really went down. I had heard bits about that. Because Professor Anthony Sutton did a whole thing on FDR, and then I only got a bit of it. And then when I interviewed Wayne Jett, he just brought it to another level of just bringing the context in of the whole time and the gold. And man, we'll have to get him on here.
Send me
That'll be a good,
yeah. Send me the link to that interview, and I'll put it below.
Sure. I would love that. That would be cool. Yeah.
I love that. It was confirmative of things I've read in Scatterbrain, a little bit here, not enough, you guys moved on, I've had pieces, but never enough. Of course, you have Jekyll Island, the book from Jekyll Island. There are some really classic works on that, but I always like to substantiate, no matter how great a writer is, Eustace Mullins, Geo Griffin, I'm always interested in the satellite work that will corroborate. I just don't go with one book. So anyway, that's a personal foible, but
definitely take pieces.
Certainly this. I think Wilson was probably the greatest trader, and then FDR next, because he had this Colonel Mandel House, who's obviously a plant of the Round Table groups and the International Cabal, Sabbateans, as you correctly say. And by the way, just a note that David, I picked that up about 50th in line.
Oh, so okay. I understand.
Make a straight point about that. That's come out a long time before he grabbed it. Thank you very much. So I can put you on the better sources than he.
Okay. All right. Totally.
But he's right in essence. He's right in essence that they, and again, they're a group that has hidden behind the mask of normal Judaism and is a cancer to Judaism. So again, one has to discover how this pestilence works.
Well, that's why I wanted to make it clear in the book. because I'm not. I even have a Jewish friend, so I'm like, I'm not. I'm not at all like, a Nazi or some, Jew hunter or something. And I know they didn't cause all the problems in the world. These fake ones, I mean,
Sure.
These.
Oh, and they are fake.
And they infiltrated the Jewish, way back, 1700 or something. Yeah. So.
Oh, even earlier. Earlier. When the Knights Templar discovered they had been suppressed, and this is the 14th century, certain follow-ups happened. And one of them was, and again, it was ready to happen because the great Jewish messianic leaders like Zabbatai Zevi were arrested and put to death, and so their movement was under observation from basically Europe into the Muslim countries. It was a Muslim sultan who basically put an end to Zabbatai Zevi. So the Frankists and all these other groups had to walk more carefully now, and they suddenly found out that, look, it'll help us if we just completely go underground in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So the first thing that has to be understood is they went beneath the three religions. These Sabbateans, as they're called, are infiltrated in all three religions, not just Judaism. This is a mistake in the first place. But moving up to the conclusion of the book, certainly part 2, you speak about the rebirth. So again, give us a sketch, because when the book comes out, we can get into greater detail. But right now, just give us a sketch of how you move forward to the conclusion of the book, and a rebirth situation. That's really intriguing.
Yes. So, I wanted to kind of make this book, like a lot of kids, they're bored with history. I liked it because I knew more. My dad would tell me the more grisly things of it, what would happen, it's more realistic, And I was like, let's put a really good story to it, and get something that somebody hasn't done. I know they haven't done the Tibetan stuff too much. I think there's only one movie I know of, Into the Void. I think that's the only one, and it doesn't really go into much detail of it. There's just a little bit. But I was like, okay, yeah, let's expand on that. And again, like I said, I'm into. I look into all religions, and I kind of put my own bubbles. The one thing that really got me with Tibetans, that I really liked about the religion, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, was it was the only one that I found that didn't have as much traps. Like it had as like the Christian or Muslim or anything, like the hell thing. It has an interesting thing where it says that when you die, you'll be judged by your karmic, you're weighed by your karmic deeds, but you actually, if you notice that that's an illusion, you can walk past that and say, I will pave my own path. And that's kind of one part that I got from them. That's the one thing that I liked about it, because I don't like traps, like religions, they always got these, oh, you're going to go to hell or whatever. So, but I found it interesting. So anyway, so that's what I based it off of. And so anyway, so William, he, I don't want to give up too much, but I mean, we know he dies, and people know. So he dies in a sword fight in 12, and then when he died, his spirit rolled through the events. He watches America and how the corruption happened, and he sees like major events. He's floating, and he's he just kind of, it's a nice just gliding through the book in time, kind of to see stuff. And then in the night after he sees, I believe when they talk about, well, the vaccinations and fluoride and like Bertrand Russell, that kind of stuff. He's like, okay, I had enough. He's like, I'm back down. I want to be, back. And so I kind of go through the whole thing of the rebirth. He watches the couples, that, have sexual relations, and then he picks the people where he goes through like this mirror, and then he's reincarnated in the 1980s, and then not 1987 to be precise. And so he's not, and he doesn't remember everything. Like a lot of it's missing, because what I say is the human mind can't handle all this one brain to handle that information when you're out of the body, supposedly. If that's what happens. So then gradually he starts getting memories back of the past, of what happened, flashbacks, and I kind of described the 90s, the toxic generation of kind of some of my fictional and some of my personal experiences with how toxic the were, picking up, bringing up kids. Luckily, I don't like to make myself like a goody two shoes, but I always, at least I know people have bad parents, so this is not for everybody, but my parents were very good, and I always respected them. And I did not like, Nickelodeon. They're like, oh, fuck you, mom and dad, screw you, and they're like always like, it'd be a little like brat to your parents, and just, and then, and just all the toxicity, all the GMO, well, it wasn't too much then, but the sugar stuff, the spartum, just the computer stuff, just the vaccines mainly. I mean, I talk a good amount about that. I mean, how that really screwed up I think that is why some of the millennials are as bad as they really are, is because of vaccine damage, and so I'm kind of angry, because it's like the elites have stolen the youth. It's sick. It's symbolically, they're getting old. And they're like, we want that from, they want to take that from us. I mean, they won't let us live the way they lived. It's a selfish thing that they want to take. So,
we've talked about that. Yeah. We've talked about that to the nth degree, in this program, about that, and so many other related matters. Somebody just jumped to mind. Hey, can I take a 2-minute break? I want to change.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Here. You guys,
that's fine.
Go ahead if you have to make an announcement or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, Kurt, if you need a break, you go ahead. If not, you can hang with me for a minute here.
All right, man. Yeah. So.
Yeah, this is This is so fascinating. What do you think? You're talking about the vaccines. What do you think about what's been happening right now with all this craziness?
Oh yeah.
Like this is,
Oh yeah. That's
it didn't just
yeah.
start in 2020, did it? This is an old thing going.
No. I've been fighting this since I was like fucking 18, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have broken up with multiple girlfriends because of it. Or I'm sorry, they broke up with me. But yeah. Anyway, so that's actually a chapter that I cover in the book. I have a unique perspective about that. My father, he worked for the biggest pharmaceutical companies and was pretty high up there. He was an auditor, and
Really?
I always forget his position, but he went to audit company vaccine manufacturer companies, and he'd be like the FDA thing and seeing if they were doing things right and all that. And I have he also was Fort Detrick, Maryland. He was in the Army, and he worked with like viruses and stuff, so my dad's told me a lot of weird stuff, a lot of top secret stuff.
Wow.
I asked him, there's some things I can't talk about, but yeah, because it's still classified. He was a little worried. He'll probably come out eventually. I don't know, but
we need more whistleblowers.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm telling him. And I'm sure he will. I mean, he's really wake. He was too. He kind of knew this stuff, but yeah, he worked for he started out, I think, with Ciba Geigy, and then that merged into Novartis. And then he jumped jobs because he never was devoted to the company like my uncle was or anything. He was like, nah, he's like, you don't devote yourself to any company because they're going to shit you out the other side. So he was better at forget the pension. You just move around and put up his salary. So, anyways, we moved to California. We were in Pennsylvania, and then we moved to California. And then I think he was in Amgen for a while, and then he went to Pfizer. Pfizer was really bad. He had stuff over there. He ended up quitting there, and then it was this more natural biotech company he went to. And well, anyway, so to get to fast forward here, he knew about this mRNA technology stuff.
Oh,
this,
really?
This new, well, because it's not actually a gene therapy. I mean, yeah, I say vaccine too because I get it mixed up, but it's really gene therapy injection.
Yeah, it's not a vaccine traditional, and there's enough problems with those, but this is a whole new game.
No, this is waking him up for that stuff too. So anyway, so he had these studies of these animals, and his company they were looking into it, and they checked these studies that another company was doing, and it went horrible wrong. All the animals died. They had horrible like side effects and all this crap, and that was like 10 years ago. And yeah, I actually write that. My dad wrote. I had a little paragraph. He had that. It was based off a comment that he replied to somebody, because they were being a doofus, with pushing the COVID vaccine or the gene therapy. So I was like, yeah, Dad, you gotta destroy this guy.
Did you get to see any of the? Actually, speaking of Pfizer, there's been, I think, 3 or 4 now whistleblowers that have come out from Pfizer to talk about exactly that and expose what's going on. We had Mike Eden and a few others that just came out. This one woman just came out and showed all the evidence that there's graphene in these shots, which is just incredible when
Crystal
you think about it.
Too, or something like that.
Yeah, the hydrogel. It's crazy. And then you got Dr. David Martin, who I also got an opportunity to interview last year. He came out and did some bombshell exposés on the patents that go all the way back for this stuff, and how none of this is new. The virus is not new. The shots, the mRNA, they've been working on this for a long time. All that gain of function research. So it's just funny you bring that up. Yeah. And I think this is all a part of an attack on, it's an attack on the entire Western world and civilization and America, and because this is about, I don't think this was ever about a virus. I think this is about, we're at war. This is an asymmetric kind of war. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah. It's not about a virus. It's always been about locking down the country and then trying to get us in these smart cities, and they can track everything and all that. It's and I was telling that to one of my friends that she's kind of pro-vaccine, and I was trying to show her, and then I kind of give her these. It's not really foretelling; it's just because of what they write. Lockstep and all that to tell you what they do.
Yeah,
and
the Rockefellers.
And so, and then the spars. That if you want to look into the future, they're
they'll just keep rolling this out. Yeah, they'll just keep rolling it out,
like,
one thing after another, right? The hacking. We're worried about the.
Yeah.
I look at what the World Economic Forum is practicing, because that's what happened. Is they practiced this whole pandemic in October, and then did it, and then now they're practicing for the cyber attacks at the World Economic Forum, and then we're seeing that new. And they're kind of like weird how everything they practice happens, kind of like with 9/11, right? All those exercises, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's and that actually, well, I mean, I'm sure you guys probably covered that to death, but that Carl, Gary Mullis, or is that his name? Yeah, the
inventor,
the PCR, and getting killed, a couple months right before. I mean, come on, and then he hated Fauci. I was showing people,
that clip is gold, Yeah.
He's like he's like a little he's a sneak, man. He's like and ironically, he was around when our generation poisoning those the MMR. I think he was part of that too.
Yep.
So I'm really pissed at that guy, man. He really, especially my generation, man. I'm just freaking.
A good book to read on that it's written by Dr. Judy Mikovits, and RFK Jr. has a little bit in that, but she used to work under Fauci. So she's one of those whistleblowers, and the stuff she talks about in terms of that corruption, it's massive, and all that stuff. This all ties into the situation going on in America, and then that, of course, is affecting the entire Western world. So, what do you think? So we've got this pandemic, got all this stuff going on politically, the election. Good thing there's some audits and stuff coming out. There seems to be a big Patriot movement of people pushing back. I'm feeling, because I've got a lot of friends down there in the States, and I've been doing a lot of shows on a lot of these platforms with these guys, and I'm really impressed, to be honest, with where I see a lot of those people coming, and a lot of them are all talking about, okay, it's not about left or right. This is divide and conquer. This is just about freedom and getting these corrupt politicians out. In your circles, are you seeing the conversation start to evolve, like in America, about, hey, we really got to look back at our history. We really got to see how this came to be. Like, it's one thing to just see the problem and then go, all right, get rid of Biden, and then put another dickhead in there. No, we have to look at the big picture. Do you feel like the conversation is evolving in America right now?
It is starting to. I think they're finally seeing that the Democrat versus Republican thing is bullshit, and they're on the same team. I think I'm hoping people start to see that. I mean, that's how I always did from the beginning. I was like, that's step one. I mean, they're like so behind. I was like, man, because I was into the more, advanced topics, and I was like, I got to lower myself down. We got to teach them first about the two parties are together working.
Start with the ABCs. I mean? Yeah, exactly.
They're like 30 years behind, so it's like, but I do see it. My only problem is, and again, I did vote for Trump the first time. I want to say that, and I'm not going to badmouth like everything he did, and especially the Russian stuff. I didn't believe. I mean, that I defended. I defended him up to the point until the Syria attack. That pissed me off because again, I felt it wasn't going along the constitutional right. Because what I do is I judge. It's the second term that I feel is when they show their true colors. Unfortunately, he didn't get his second term. Yeah. But I
think he was handicapped a lot. There's only so much he could do at that point.
And I agree. Yeah, and that's where I want to be fair about it too. But my problem is the people that he had around him that he put in. There were a lot of Bush. There were a lot of Bush Junior people. And then I found, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the Jared Kushner, I'm pretty sure he worked for the Open Society with George Soros. So I was kind of like, what the hell, and I'm seeing all that, and then he starts messing around with, the red flag laws, and, cause that's really dangerous. That's some family member, some, asshole or whatever is like, just like, oh, he's violent with that gun. And you better look at him, and they can take your gun away now. And he signed that. And I was like, that's not constitutional. I was like, for me, I'm just saying, maybe I'm a perfectionist with that kind of stuff, but if I was running, I wouldn't do it at all. I would not I mean, one of the first things I would probably order, again, this is scenario, I'm not going to real life, but I would order, if this would happen, let's just say it's a movie, a book, I would order an airstrike legally to the Federal Reserve, and I would destroy them immediately when I got in office, and I would not tangle with them at all. Not tangle. So anyways, like so my concern with that, really angry about him kind of toying with that kind of stuff. And then what really angered me was at the end of the election, I warned him. I even wrote him a note. I wrote him a letter. I said, Trump, get rid of the 6 feet rule, the shutdown, because he said that's how they're going to steal the election from you. We kept on warning him. Multiple people did, not just me. And we said, hey man, what are you doing? You know, get rid of it. You know, get this lockdown. You know, he went along with it, and so I don't know, man. I'm just, and in the vaccine thing, I'm just very suspicious. And again, I wouldn't like badmouth him. I'm hoping he comes back, you know, maybe, but I think there should be somebody else that I think we need to get rid of CPAC. I mean, like you were saying, we can't get past these bozos if we don't have, you know,
it's valid points you're making, man. And I've got a few theories about those points myself, but the main point, but you know, we can talk another time about it, but I think the main focus is people have to start taking freedom back for themselves and their own personal lives. And we got to stop. We got to stop investing. Like, it's good to have leaders. It's good to have, I mean, there's so many things that Trump had done that I love him for, just going and standing in the UN and doing, but nobody's perfect. And that's the problem. If people are going to go, well, we'll just wait for Trump to come back and save us. It's like, no, that's not the point. And I don't even think that's
what your ass now and you do it.
This is something you have to participate in your own freedom, or someone's going to fucking take it from you in a heartbeat, you know? And even if you get a good guy in for a while that does at least some good, the problem's not going to be solved. And that's why on this show, we talk so much about the root problems of this. Like Michael was hinting at it early, like, it's not just these cult leaders and these politicians and these corrupt leaders. It's the people that follow them and vote for them and blindly go after them. So the deprogramming and the unslaved process, this has to happen on an individual level. And I think that the fact that you're bringing up the history in your book and you're trying to bring context to everything and show people, hey, a lot of this stuff is fraudulent, and they're attacking your freedom, but you're letting them. This is a really, really important thing, because it's like, I did a whole series studying cults, and I'm still working on that, like these ancient cults and modern cults. And it was actually Michael's work that inspired me to look at it backwards. Like, a lot of the people that research cults look at, like, oh, Jim Jones, let's do a psychological profile on that guy and let's focus everything on him. It's like, yeah, but what about all the people that show up to worship this guy and believe in him to the point where they're willing to kill themselves? So it became more of an analysis of the followers of the cults and not necessarily the cult leaders. We know they're there. We know they're psychopaths. Yeah. But who's buying into that? You know? So I feel like on the political level, that's why it's important that in America and Canada, I mean, man, I'm sitting here in Canada, I should be one to talk, but in general.
Where are you? Are you are you on the West Coast of Canada or East Coast?
West Coast. West Coast.
Oh, that's cool. At least, well, I don't know about the laws. I don't know if that's worse over there. I heard some really bad stuff, but you guys have so many, don't you have like different, different provinces, or I don't know, you got like
provinces.
Parts of it.
And it's different. Right now, the laws are different, and there's even restrictions passing through provincial borders right now in our own country. So our constitution here has been burnt a long time ago, and they don't listen to it at all. And we see it happening all over the Western world, right? They're just throwing this thing in the trash can. And in the end, regardless of what they've done, this is why I've been trying to say, look, as an individual, we all have to ask ourselves a question. Do we value freedom enough? You know, you read Solzhenitsyn, and he was like, we didn't love freedom enough. And that's why we ended up, and we used to burn we used to be so upset with ourselves in those concentration camps that we didn't love freedom enough, you know? So just the fact that you're writing about this and you're trying to inspire it. Yeah. I think that's going to be a very positive thing.
Oh, thank you. It's go ahead, Michael.
Well, if you have section in the book, because so many people talk about this pandemic and not a single one ever mentions any legal, stuff that's on the record already about your civil rights. And then secondly, the legal aspect, it's hugely important to empower people. This is an opportunity to empower people, to remind them of their civil rights. And even lawyers, are detestable as they are at least a vehicle to what's on the books. So are judges. So if some asshole company says, you're not working here anymore, buddy, or you're not going to fly without one of those passports, you go, get your legal department to contact me now, because you're going to be fucking sued. And then you move forward. So what I want to see is empowerment. And the other problem is, of course, that the fear porn merchants are worse to me than any government agency, Boris Johnson included. The spreading of fear porn by commenters on podcasters and all the rest of it is, to me, a worse virus and a worse danger than ever, because fear is not only the mind killer, but it is the nation killer. So those two things go hand in hand. And right now, my analysis personally, and this is extremely personal because I'm only interested in psychology, not politics, is that the endless fear porn mongering of what's going to happen, and there's going to be no freedom, and they're locking us down. And I hear that from a phenomenological point of view as being the greater disease than the one they mobilize to get you to be in that fear porn. So they're laughing their fucking heads off because they wave the big, what is it? The Allison one? What was it? What is it? What I'm thinking of, with it behind the curtain, they have what's that? Wizard of Oz, right?
Oh, Wizard of Oz, yeah.
They have a million. And by the way, they've done this. They've created mass hysteria from, 1,000 years ago. From the killing of Hypatia in the streets of Alexandria, the people know how to get the crowd going. So to me, it's a black magic ritual. I don't know if you touched on that in your book, but because some of your titles are just
that's a whole other subject. Crawley and I
how they wheel it out.
I was gonna ask you about the Crawley too, because I don't like to get one person's view, again, I'm not Crawley, and again, that's one of the warnings I really want to tell about the book. I do use mainly one phrase, and there's the ritual. Some of the Picatrix is kind of mixed up, but one of the invocations there is I don't even read it out loud to myself. I would recommend, I'm putting a warning on there. I tell people, again, I don't know if people are superstitious. I mean, it might nothing happen, but for me, I was just being careful because I don't need any of it. My brother and I messed around with a Ouija board when we were real young, and it didn't go well a little bit. So I don't need any more bad things, or anybody needs it. So I just want to warn people that there are to tell how bad these people are, and I wanted to be as most realistic as I possibly could. It's a little fictional too, but there's a lot of the Crawley stuff, the Macrobes concept about feeding them, and then also I was going to ask you, Michael, do you think they're close to you talked about breaking the chains of the earth that they were on, and they said they would give them in steps to how there was some kind of prison around the planet that we couldn't escape. And he said, he said that he would give this knowledge in parts because it was so complex and hundreds of years. And do you think the CERN particle accelerator was close to the last step, or was that one of their, I think for some reason I have a gut feeling that this particle accelerator has something to do with creating matter, because I think they were right. They were supposed to release matter, how to do that with a nuclear explosion. And then the second part was to make matter. I think create matter out of nothing, I think.
You got it.
And I'm wondering if that has anything, the CERN. Yeah. So I write about that. Right? And okay. I was just
spot on. It was Dr. John D. It was Dr. John D. you're talking about? Yeah, Dr. John Invisible D. Colleges. You wouldn't believe how many things of our modern age spawned from that very decision. The British Empire's expansion to all corners of the world so that they could have the raw materials. Jesus, the layout of cities is involved in the ritual, and science. I was just talking about moving into the nano.
Me.
Just look at the symbolism. It's all freaking Knights Templar, Royal.
It's dark,
weird
it's
Grail.
Dark, but it's interesting. Yeah. It's
it's manifold.
I like horror movies. I wouldn't want to, be in one or do it actually, but I'm just saying,
we've been in one for hundreds of years,
it's interesting. Well, that's what I know we're living one right now, so.
Well, don't forget, it pertains to what you were saying earlier about people like us. one of the biggest elements of the ritual was to dispose of the shaman. And I mean the real thing, not the ayahuasca nonsense swinging from the fucking trees in the Amazon.
Yeah.
Right. The real thing had to go because they were in touch with the energies of the earth and could fight back. So the purging of sages throughout the world and real magus, real magi has been part of it as well. So the defunctness of our Schillers and Schellings and Goethes and all, where are those guys? Jenna fucking side, right? Yeah. Every culture did. Do you know what was slaughtered? Just go ask Yuri Lina what was slaughtered up in the Russias. You know, amazing. You think that Tsar has an emerald room or an amber room?
Yeah.
By accident? Who made that? And why?
It's too, Michael, do you know anything about some of the works, some of the research that I did for this book for the rituals, because I wanted to make it kind of accurate, you know, with the Goetia and that part. Do you know of Poke Runyon? Anything about Poke Runyon? There's this guy named Poke Runyon, and it's on YouTube. If you go to Amazon, he does the most realistic, like he goes over the ritual of how they invoke the spirits and everything, and it wasn't like too cheesy. It was a little cheesy, but like, you know, I mean, it wasn't like that stupid stuff in the movies sometimes, you know, with the horns or just the stereotypical. And that's why I wanted it in this book. I wanted to make sure it was real. You know, it's disturbing. I mean, it's very. You have to have the stomach to read it. I'm warning you, you know, because I don't shy away from showing what these guys are really doing. It's part of it is just getting the anger so much at the beginning of the book for them, but then at the end, you know, I won't give it away. But like I said, that's to get you very angry, you know. And what
do you know? But just an anecdote I was thinking of before the break. Your character William, I don't know if you know this, but Celtic mythology, Irish mythology was the first ever to have this being who is a sort of a semi-eternal being who stands back and watches the flow of history. It's actually a Celtic idiom that you're working in.
Oh my God, that's weird.
So William Wallace was Celtic, right?
That's weird. I mean, Michael, really, I just haven't. And again, I'm not just saying it. The last months I've been, you know, explosion of energy. You know, I can't. I just like. I know something. I'm on to something big. I know. But you know, I was a little worried. I was a little pulled. You know, I was kind of like, ooh, you know, this is getting a little crazy. You know, so it's
I hope you you were watching what was happening in the sky as you were writing, because that's usually a good confirmation. You know, the sort of movement of the moon and things like that can often
there was certain times there was certain times. Yes, my mom's really into that. She kind of tells me about, like, you know, the retrograde and, oh, you know, you're in this or whatever. And then I actually, you know, I don't like take horoscopes like, you know, psychics. We're very picky about psychics. No. A lot of bullshit. But we do believe in it. And there's a horoscope. I mean, he's wrong sometimes, but the Rick Levine, I don't know if anybody's ever tried it. I mean, it's a free website, but it was scary. I mean, it was so accurate. I mean, I wouldn't look at it for days. I would not look at it, and I would look back, and it happened exactly. You know, I mean, and even this, it was, even my life, it was going on right now in this last week, it was dead on accurate. And it was just basically saying to get started new and get rid of toxic people and all that. So, I mean,
we did a whole program on the actual aspects of the whole year, you know, at the beginning of the year. And I still check that document out because it's so accurate. Even Trump's 16, I knew I phrased it as he was going to be under a physical attack. Like it's due with Mars in Pisces, which is deadly to all Caesars or world leaders. I just couldn't see him getting in again. I wanted him so much to get in again. But the Mars and Pisces,
a lot better than Biden. A lot better than Biden, man. Jeez, that was fucking disgusting, man. I know. I just you know. And again, he might be, and I do think he might have something up his sleeve. Again, I have that in my back of my mind that he. Again, if you show all your cards at once, I mean, maybe the vaccine thing, I know he could be a little black magician stuff, but it might be just another way of thinking. He might think the people that were already going to take the vaccine, that's horrible. I'm not saying to do it, but he's like, well, the leftover people will be more smarter people and to vote. And I don't know if that's the way he was thinking or not.
You want to
I
know
just don't,
something? You want to know something
I don't know.
interesting? Something
Yeah.
interesting, just quick on that,
So,
is
yeah.
that remember that Trump first promoted hydroxychloroquine. The
Yes.
media
Yeah.
tried to destroy him completely, and then they had the Lancet come out and do a study saying, "Oh, if you take hydroxychloroquine, your heart's going to explode." And
Such
even though they've been
bullshit.
using this for like 70 years all over the
Yeah.
place, it's the most safest. And so then Trump backs off of that. And then it was, I think it was Fauci that came out and said the only way we're going to end, well, Bill Gates started it and then Fauci repeated it, which was the only way we're going to end this pandemic is with a vaccine. And Trump knew there's a time limit on how long this thing can drag on because they were trying to destroy the progressive of the progress of the economy. So he went, all right, well, I'm going to have to use the optics and the rhetoric. This is just a theory, right? But what was interesting is that, did anybody know that Anthony Fauci, it was the early 2000s, he actually said that ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, he called them vaccines. He referred to them as vaccines because they're prophylactic and they actually prevent transmission. And so Fauci, and I think that in a way, what Trump could be doing is putting these deep state players up in front of the American people. Because if you look at his inauguration speech, he said, we're going to transfer the power from the corrupt Washington back to the people. And in order to do that, you can't just do it. You have to show the American people how these people operate. So he gave Fauci the pulpit because he knew the corruption going all the way back. And then when Trump started saying a vaccine, he said that he developed his own version of a vaccine with a smaller pharmaceutical company. And then when Trump left office, that company was bought by, or that whatever that shot was taken over by Johnson & Johnson. So a lot of people think they intercepted Trump's project of a vaccine, which was hydroxychloroquine or Regeneron. Because remember when he took he got coronavirus. They flew him out to a hospital. He took something and was back to work in 36 hours and then went on to lead. He's plus 70 years old, this guy. So then he said in his speech that he went, well, I want you, the American people, to get what I had, and I want you to get it for free. So he didn't take a vaccine. He took Regeneron, which is a combination of. So I think there's a little bit of smoke and mirrors, and I think they had to make a decision.
He's a wild card. That's why I voted for it. I did vote for him the first time, and I didn't. At the time, I just voted for a third party candidate. Definitely not Joe Biden. I mean, he's disgusting.
I don't think many people voted for him. I think they rigged the shit out of that.
I don't know. He just angered me with that. But I'm open to him to come in. And if he had a strategy and there was a reason he did it, I'm open to that. I'm not like a diehard, like, oh, that's the way it is. It's like,
Oh, and I'm the same. If we're wrong, we're wrong. I mean, look, we're all just. Whatever. But we were talking. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you with that. I just thought it was interesting. But you were saying something about the occult aspect of the book, like the ritual component of things. Did you see the footage of the 2012 Olympic ceremonies, the closing ceremonies?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, did that strike you as all a bit like, wow, the whole thing was just shown to the world? It's rituals.
What happened? Yeah. The hospital beds with the kids and
death, like the whole thing.
Yeah. And then the Denver. I mean, this is a little off top, but at Denver airport, not the one I think they added the mask later, but the guy that's going around in the Colorado airport, and he's got the whole world, and he's got that mask on. I don't know, something, and they took it down. I think people were starting to look at like, hey, this is weird, like what this looks like what they were planning, and then now it's down in the basement now, like storage room.
They like to brag, don't they? They like to show off what they're doing.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
So you get into that, I guess, a bit in your book, just like idea of
I got, again, I tried it. There's a sequel. This is up. If I get enough people, it will be a series, and I'll go much deeper. I kind of hook people at the end of the book to go much deeper into deeper subjects. But I wanted to keep it a little, it's not light. Let's not say it's definitely not light, but, this one, but there is some missing things that I would like. There are concepts that I'd like to talk about more. But again, I don't it might be 10 years from I write the book. This book just pretty much took everything out of me, and I don't want to go crazy. So that's that's another thing too. So
yeah, and you need
but
when you have a creative burst like that, even if it's only for a few weeks, let alone years, you need to recuperate your energies as well before jumping onto a new project. That rest period and that rest, oh well, yeah, but you need to restore the energy, because remember that energy came from somewhere, and then it gets depleted, and you put that aside, and then you need to really replenish the energy. I think that's why creative block exists. When people fail to do that, the body does it for you, and then you experience it as creative block. So it's very, very important to sort of detach from it, put it aside, and just give yourself a couple of weeks or months of recuperation, so that there's a new cache of energy. It's a lot of what creative people face. They don't realize that, and they just pump it till it hurts, and then find out when they really need the energy again, they don't have it.
I was
That's
like
a good point,
way too hard on myself on that. I was like, I gotta get this.
We all
come
are,
up with
man.
new ideas. I gotta add this. I gotta add that. And it was like,
I mean, you could do an audiobook. You could do an audiobook version. There's still things you can do. You know what I mean? And you can excerpt it or whatever, a Kindle book and all those kinds of things. There's still work you can do, but never to the onslaught. Where when the great energy comes down, it can be so exhausting that you have to acknowledge that as well. So
Oh, and I was going to ask you
really
guys,
interesting.
Oh, thank you. That's and I wanted to ask you guys about the. I really liked the way you did that Statue of Liberty. It's very, or the goddess Libertas, to be exact there. It was weird because I had that in the book, and as a kid, the Statue of Liberty, I don't know, it was something that was so powerful to me. It was pagan. Atlantic City too had this Triton thing I used to be obsessed with, you guys did a good job on that. I really like. I don't know if
after we talked. After we did our last email, because I had suddenly to do it real quick. I forgot this week, and then last week when I did it, and then we had to pause because of the tech issue. But it just flashed on me as soon as I read your pre-say, the thing that you had sent me. I hadn't even opened Photoshop before. Bam! It came to me. That image.
Wow, yeah.
And it actually wasn't that easy to fucking do.
It was like goosebumps when it came up. When I was like, oh my God, this is weird, and I was like, wow, you guys.
It came like a flash.
And, it was. And I was going to ask you, cool. So you guys know about Photoshop. I had a problem with the image. Now, do you have to save in 300 DPI? Because I'm assuming when it stretches, the book cover, I know you guys have any issues with that, like you print set in, and it says that you should have 300 DPI, because I'm doing KDP. I published with KDP before. I'm hoping they don't ban my book, the Amazon. I don't know if that's probably going to be. I'm going to have to get ready for that.
Just back everything up, because there are going to be there are going to be alternatives to Amazon and stuff. So just keep everything back.
I know. It's just the easiest thing I know how to do now, and they're so. I have all the parameters right.
Put it on there. Put it on there, and then
So, but but I was wondering, would you guys mind if would you be willing to I use that for like the back cover of the book? Like, would I be able to get permission from you? I mean, that's up to you. That's totally fine. I mean, I can do my own thing, but.
You can use it. I mean, I just put that together from clip art or from stock footage, for goodness sake.
And I have go ahead.
The angle of the face, right? The Statue of Liberty is fucking. You got a million different images of it, isn't it? I wanted one that had because it's rising, right? You said Patriots are rising, so I wanted one that looked like my. I actually was looking for hands coming out of the earth. I was typing in all sorts of things like hands coming out of the earth, Then I looked for burning torch, like a torch carrier. But they're all lame. Right. And then I thought, wait a minute, the torch is liberty.
Exactly.
Just use the face of liberty. Everybody's going to recognize it. And then it mostly came in a flash. I tried alternatives just to mess about with alternatives. But the real image that came as a flash was the face of liberty, maybe crying or tearing. But when I looked at the thousands of images, it took hours, right? And then you just saw this one with the up tilt of and I was just like, that is it, perfect. So go ahead and take that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And because I on the cover of the book, I have these two swords crossing, and one there's the Betsy Ross flag up there, and then there's a new flag, and it's symbolic to. Well, there's one sword from one of the battle evil bastards he fight. Well, actually, it's Adam Weishaupt. I used him as like a fictional for that when he fights him, and he has there's the cross of the two swords, and it represents the fight of the old Republic and the new Republic. So I was going to put that out. I'm trying to, I've been trying to do sword, but that was my problem, was at 300 DPI, and it would take it would be like gigabytes, and I would be sitting, and it would be like,
really?
I on my laptop was like this little
you
tiny,
don't need to,
it's like,
yeah.
So I probably
if
don't.
you're doing digital books, you just use RGB. You don't use CMYK.
It is printed though. That's a problem, because I ain't doing the digital one because of the price. Like, that get kind of ripped off the price with Amazon. And so I will release that later, but I am thinking of doing printed first. I wanted printed books first.
Then it needs to be CMYK, right?
CMYK.
The highest resolution.
Okay.
300 would be a good resolution. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you always want a good presentation on your, striking cover.
And
subtitle and all of that kind of thing.
Out on that,
So, the font should be very clear.
Yeah.
You just got to imagine like it's somebody glancing at a shop window as they're waiting for the bus or walking by. They're just like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they say don't
design something that'll catch their eye.
Yeah, I know. And they say
you have to catch their eye. Oh, there's so many books out there, aren't there?
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in art. I'm a big believer that art does catch people's eye. We just talked about it last week on the William Blake thing, right? You can put out something and, it catches people's eye. Or it's like a piece of music. You go, oh, I really, really like that. And it moves from that point, because there is a right brain, and it is attentive to holy spiritual things. No good appealing to the left brain. That's got a bunch of sensors, but the right brain responds to color, responds to, something that's got design quality. For Madison Avenue know it. So, I mean, come on, we're just stealing it back from them, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh yeah. They hijack stuff from the Druids and, and other ancient cultures. Yeah, that's why it angers me. It's like, why people are so servant, like a servant to it, and it's peasant to it. And I'm just like, these people are pieces of crap, man. Like, you don't need to, like, bow to these people. They're not all powerful. Like you're, it's just, I don't know. It's just disgusting.
Well, I was going to say, when you asked earlier about the experiment, and you asked about the phases of the experiment, absolutely, we're now in the phase in which the only way for them to escape this planet is to manipulate matter itself.
Yes.
And combined with that, you've got your post-humanism. Later on, after the Atlantis book, I moved into embellishing that story, going into post-humanism, because at the end of the Atlantis book is this chronology, right? It's a true facts chronology involving mercury, sugar, caffeine, and opium, right? This whole thing I've got in the this appendix to show how they've, through sugar, through caffeine, right, smoking, all tobacco. There's a whole timeline over 1,500 years or something, in that book. And so that shows that they have been dumbing our immune systems down, right? They want us to be poisoned, like the kid at the table drinking just raw sugar in the morning. And it's part of the whole, plan to keep us extrovert and no sense of, we no longer know how to feel. We no longer know how to assess our own thoughts. It's technically called introception, but I just prefer the word centroversion. There's no introspection. There's no centroversion. And so this helps a horde of people in society say, well, I don't know how I feel or think about anything because I've never gone inward to think about it. So I just go along with the crowd. So the boss says, if you don't centrovert, the elite, right, will say, right, they don't know what they think or feel on an individual level, but we can certainly use that to psychologically weaken them, that they go, I haven't got the energy to know what I think or feel. So Biden, you tell me what to think and feel. Boris Johnson, Alessandro Cortez, you tell me how I think and how I should feel and what I should do. And Oprah Winfrey and all the rest of it. So it can be done on the individual level, but it's also done on a societal level. That's a wing of it. Posthumanism is a wing of it. It's not that they're short. So to answer your question, yes, CERN is important, but it's a multiplicity of attacks to get us in. And the ultimate goal is to understand the nature of matter and to understand how matter and psyche fuse. The quantum sense is all part of this. It's not Walter Russell. It's not for your fucking good, right? It's not for granny's better viewing on a big screen TV with high def resolution. She just loves it. No, it's not. It's not for any of that. It's to explore disingenuously, satanically, the connections between the human mind and matter. That's what they're seeking for. The reason the reason we're not all dead yet is because they can't do it. They haven't found the solution. The only reason we're alive, right? We're already troglodytes. We're already fucking enslaved, right? But the reason we're not actually wiped out
can't kill us.
is because they haven't found out. And the problem there is because in order to study consciousness, you have to do it with consciousness. So they keep coming up against this universal, I don't even have a term for cul-de-sac or problem. And that is in order to study mind, it is mind that you have to use to study mind. And, we'll not go any further, but there's a complication in there that their kind of mind, which is necrophilous as opposed to biophilic, can't crack it. Their own mentality stops them reaching out for the very thing they need. It's like one of those crazy machines. You're trying to pick up the cigarette pack or the watch, you've put in your quarter and it just slips off all the time. Their own consciousness, I keep saying that evil has within it the seeds of its own destruction. And believe me, the necrophilous kind of thought that is now pretty much the order of the day, made worse by all the fear porn mongers, but it was bad anyway. But that kind of thinking is unclear, so it gropes and gropes for the answer that they want. But for some reason, it keeps eluding them because they don't have the kind of Walter Russell thinking, the Nikola Tesla thinking, the Victor Schauberger thinking, right? They wish they had. So they now in an extreme paradox. So the post-human element of it is to try and get to the point where they're beyond consciousness. It's like hyper-real. They've been moving us further and further into a hyper-reality so that these problems I'm talking about, where mind is analyzing mind, no, it's some computer program that a very sophisticated one, like a real cyborg one or a real virtual sort of organic brain, organic computer, which you do see predicted in these sci-fi shows. They want that in the hope that will bypass consciousness altogether. And other group says, yeah, we're doing that in society because nobody has any fucking consciousness at all. If you're only living in the extrovert world and not using your own resources, the day that the human race says, I don't know what I feel, I don't know what I think, on an individual level, the world comes apart because the I can only be the I when it's doing that experiment. Selfhood itself, that's the anatomy of selfhood. You get to be a self by saying, I think, I feel. If you don't have any time of the day to even spend doing that, and it's follow the herd or follow the newspaper, follow the trend, consciousness as we know it is mechanical. It's already reduced to a mechanism because a mechanism is below consciousness. Consciousness is not a mechanism. Consciousness is something numinous and magical and amazing. But they want to reduce it down to the mechanical cyborg level, and they're doing it.
Yeah, that's the scariest part. Yeah, and I actually in that subject, I was going to ask you too about. I was thinking about this a couple of days ago and about the artificial intelligence and everything, and I don't know. My dad he was telling me about his. He went to Gannon University. The very open. It's a religious, but the professor. It's a Christian. I guess it is a Christian college, but they're very open-minded. And there was a priest there that taught that was extremely open-minded, and he told how he showed him I guess it was a library where you could go in and read priests, like exorcism and stuff like that, and the one thing that was very strange is he said that the spirit, they were trying to get him to go into like a radio or something or a machine. And the spirit said, no, that's too, I could do it, but that would be really horrible. It would be like, I can't, I don't want to do that. And I'm always wondering, are they really using, is this really artificial intelligence, or are these, like demonic spirits that are powering, like some strange way of using them to operate? And so then, and at that case, they could think for themselves at that point. It would just take over.
Well, it's an interface.
Yeah.
No, it's C.S. Lewis and people call it, those types of things are an interface between off-world beings. I would more like say macrobe-like, as you alluded to earlier, and the human race. That has been written about, that they will they need certain interfaces, either through crystalline technology.
Oh yeah,
because that's the essence of computing, isn't it? It's the crystalline structure.
Crystal and the chip, the microchip.
We go quartz. Quartz,
Yeah, yeah,
where does quartz come from? It's part of the structure of the earth itself. So this
yeah.
is
They
the
don't tell you
ritualistic aspect.
Yeah, yeah, they don't tell you. They don't tell you. They only tell you the mechanical part, how the computer
Yeah,
works. But the
yeah.
basic, that crystal, they don't. Yeah, they don't tell you, like, how is that
Well,
working?
it's portals. Yeah, look at the
Yeah,
symbolism
yeah,
of sun
yeah,
macrosystems, Pentium.
yeah,
Just look at the fucking
yeah.
symbolism of it, right?
Oh
All
yeah,
of them,
yeah.
not just one or two that I could mention. All of it. And you'll see that these are used as a portal. The 1-0 is on an occult level, the ring and the rod. It's like one of the earliest symbols of magic that you can find it back in bloody Babylon and Sumeria, the ring and the rod. That
Yeah,
manifests in the
it's
digital kingdom
fascinating.
as 1-0
Yeah.
pointers or signals, right? But the ordinary Joe just thinks, oh, it's just digital, it's just binary. They don't know anything about the occult stuff we're talking about. That goes through Cornelius Agrippa, Paracelsus. These things matter. They're whole of consciousness is based on it. That's why we have the 12 and the 3-4 and all of these parameters. That even astrology works based on that structure. Who's ever looked at that structure? They think it's fucking stars, fucking rocks floating up in space. No, it's that 12 divisions that is the psychic component. That's an interface between psyche and soma, or psyche and matter. Right, they look for others. That's not the only one, right? They've got lots of ways of trying to interface. You call them, we could call them demonic, or we could call them just daemonic. They could be nothing more than deeper recesses of the intelligence of man. So one shouldn't just be narrow to a Christian focus that it's devil or Satan. Or there's so much more to it than that. This is calling up a kind of knowledge that was reserved for adepts. And so these .com sites. But I think, the last thing I have to say is that when you were talking about the Great Awakening and how many people are being reached, rather than speaking about the demographics of it, I look at, instead of counting heads, I say, how the hell can any government website today not just scratch their definition of conspiracy theory? They can take a nice little, eraser and just rub it out, because every single person on the planet, those definitions are so wanting now. They're so absolutely redundant. So we don't complain that they're there on these different conspiracy, they're blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and everything that those people believe in that you thought was prejudicial to them is come true. So you can scrub it.
Yeah,
that is an achievement.
Yeah, that's what that's why I'm proud of that. And we're not crazy. At least we're not like the nutcases anymore. I mean, because my family, man, I had to cut off so many of them because they were such assholes.
But no, we're on the
cool. They want to be on pills or whatever. He's like, you got to be on pills. You're crazy.
We're sitting at the cool table now, man, and it's coming around, and that's why these kind of books.
Exactly. That's how I felt.
These books that
it's turning around.
Yeah, the book you're doing and the work you're doing, and we have so many other guests that are doing this kind of work as well. That's what we're trying to do. It's so important, and I think it's being very effective. And you might be releasing this book at exactly the right time, because I hear the fall and winter. I think things are going to be really cooking up here because you trap a wounded tiger in the corner, and they're very dangerous, and people are going to need information. And I feel like people are starving for it.
Stocking up,
They're sick of the bullshit, man. They're sick of the media, and they need someone that can come like yourself, that has an open mind. You're an open-minded seeker of truth. I can tell by the way you're even thinking about your theories. You're constantly trying to improve it. That's the place we come from. Not making declarative statements, but just bringing the facts and letting people decide for themselves. And basically, it's almost like our job as content creators or authors is to help people learn how to think again, for themselves, and to say, here's the paradigm you're presented by the world. Here's the history you're taught in school. Here's the news you're getting from the media. And here's the shit you didn't get told. You make up your mind what you think is true. And just giving that opportunity to people through these kind of works, I think will have some very positive long-term consequences. And who knows, maybe some future historian's going to dig it up somewhere and go, oh my God, there were people alive that were cracking it.
That's how I was thinking. I know he'll be down in the history book, man. He's going to be in there. I swear to God. Yeah. So all these big thinkers of the time. I mean, we're making history. So
good man.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wrap it here. Was there any other final bits you wanted to, or any last minute things you want to say about the book, or where people can find you right now?
Just like I said, I'm getting my website ready. So Running Amok productions@gmail.com. Again, running amok productions@gmail.com. You can email me that, and you want a signature on the book. I can set that up for you. So.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. And once we've read it, can sure to have you back with a barrage of questions. Yeah. But I really want to thank you for this overview.
Thank you.
We don't mind having people on ahead of time to chat. And it's the struggle that you talk about. People are there. They should be writing their works. They should feel confident that in a time of crisis, like what you're doing, you can bring pearls of wisdom. And also the overview, the bigger context stops the alienation. If you understand history and the movement, and that everything we're seeing today has happened at the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, it's happened in Tiananmen Square, it's happened in India, it's happened at the different peasants' revolts, or the Jarrow March in London, when everybody thought they had lost everything. So when you point out things of historical context that show catastrophe followed by success, that is a very heroic thing to do. And it stops the person today being, drenched in fear porn, psychically attacked in that sense, or just even in another way losing hope, thinking this just little me, and I'm gonna give up. I give up my sanity. I give up my rights.
You have to get over
everybody. That, yeah. Well, it's like a spoke in the wheel, right? Everybody we're talking to on Unslaved is contributing in some shape or form to a different kind of vision and a different kind of strength. So again, thanks for coming on today. Kurt, we'll do it again.
Oh, thank you, Michael, and thank you, Dave. I really appreciate talking to you guys. So
awesome. Oh, you were great. You were great. We'll definitely do it again. Stay in touch with us. Let us know. We'll help you promote it. Our members are the best. They'll go out and support you. Yeah, very well done. And just before we go, quick announcement: as we're in this for our members, if we're in the process of transitioning over to this new payment platform, PayPal banned us and all that stuff. So make sure you check your email. You've got an email in there. It might be in your junk box or your promotions folder. Make sure to check it out. Monica sent it out just with the details of how to go through that process of getting yourself set up on the new site. We've got the forum active. People are on there chatting. It's really, really cool. So be sure to stay tuned for those notices. And we got a lot more coming your way. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Michael. We'll catch you next time here on Unslaved, everybody. Cheers.
All right.